In the summer of 1944, as Allied troops poured into France after D-Day, captured German officers mocked the Americans' dependence on machines. "Let them drive their way to Paris," one colonel sneered. "Their trucks will choke the roads before they reach the front." The German high command believed logistics, the art of keeping armies supplied, was America's weakest link. The Wehrmacht had thrived on speed and improvisation, living off captured supplies. They couldn't imagine an army so mechanized, so dependent on fuel, maintaining its pace across a ruined continent. But within weeks, their confidence began to crack. The Allied advance under General George S. Patton was moving faster than anyone predicted, too fast, even, for its own supply lines. Ammunition, fuel, and food ran dangerously low. Patton's tanks were ready to strike deep into France, but without gasoline. They were just metal statues. That's when the Americans built something no German general thought possible. A supply machine that would never stop moving, the Red Ball Express. The idea was born in desperation. In August 1944, the front had moved 400 miles from Normandy, and the supply ships still unloaded at the beaches. Every gallon of fuel, every bullet, had to be hauled inland. To fix the crisis, the U.S. Army created a massive truck convoy system that would run day and night without pause. They called it the Red Ball Express, named after the red circular signs marking its one-way supply routes. Within days, engineers cleared special roads reserved only for Red Ball traffic. No other vehicle could enter, not even tanks. Drivers slept in their trucks, ate on the move, and drove with blackout lights through the dust and wreckage of war-torn France. Nearly 23,000 men joined the operation, most of them African-American drivers from segregated transportation units. They were young, undertrained, and often underestimated, yet they became the heartbeat of Patton's army from August 25 onward. The Red Ball Express rolled relentlessly. 5,958 trucks thundered down the routes each day, carrying fuel, ammunition, food, and spare parts to the front. The convoys operated 24 hours a day onto one-way highways, one for loaded trucks heading east, another for empties returning west. At its peak, the express delivered 12,500 tons of supplies daily across hundreds of miles. Drivers faced exhaustion, accidents, and attacks from German aircraft and sabotage units. They used instinct more than maps, landmarks, stars, even the smell of burning oil to navigate. A truck breaking down could block the entire column, so mechanics worked roadside miracles, patching engines and tires in minutes. One driver later recalled, "If we stopped, Patton stopped. That was all we needed to keep going." The majority of the Red Ball Express drivers were African-American soldiers, serving in segregated units. They faced racism, poor equipment, and little recognition, yet their contribution was vital. They worked 16-hour shifts, often with no proper rest, driving overloaded GMC deuce-and-a-half trucks through mud, rain, and darkness. They ate cold rations, slept beside their vehicles, and fixed breakdowns with whatever they could find. Some units lost 30% of their trucks daily to mechanical failure, but the men kept the convoys rolling. Many had never driven a truck before the war, yet they learned quickly and drove like veterans. As one officer put it, "Those boys kept the front alive." Without them, there would have been no Patton, no advance, no victory. To sustain the express, engineers turned the French countryside into a moving workshop. Mobile repair units followed the routes, salvaging wrecked vehicles and turning spare parts from destroyed trucks into usable ones. Fuel was hauled in 5-gallon cans called jerrycans, millions of them, each one lifted, loaded, and unloaded by hand. Mechanics devised new suspension fixes on the fly. Dispatchers introduced coded radio systems to reroute convoys around destroyed bridges or ambush zones. The operation consumed 122 million ton-miles of transport in just 82 days, a feat no army in history had matched. And despite breakdowns, the express never stopped for a single day. By early September 1944, Patton's Third Army was back in motion. Fuel trucks from the Red Ball Express arrived just in time, refilling tanks that had been bone dry. German units expecting the Americans to stall were stunned to see Patton's armor, still advancing, fast, organized, unstoppable. Entire Wehrmacht divisions were forced into retreat, their commanders unable to comprehend how the U.S. kept its columns supplied across such distances. Captured German generals later confessed their disbelief. "We calculated that no army could move more than 50 kilometers beyond its railheads," one said, but the Americans moved for hundreds, with trucks. The myth of German logistical superiority was gone. for German troops retreating through France. The Red Ball Express became a symbol of doom. At night, they could hear the endless rumble of engines, a sound that never ceased. It meant fuel, food, and ammunition were flowing to the Americans faster than the Germans could destroy them. One Wehrmacht officer wrote, "We fought their tanks by day and their trucks by night. The trucks were worse. The trucks never stopped." To the Germans, it was psychological warfare, the noise of an industrial giant at full power. To the Americans, it was the rhythm of victory. The Red Ball Express came at a price. Accidents were constant. Trucks overturned on narrow roads, tires blew out under heavy loads, and fatigue claimed more men than enemy fire. Yet morale stayed high. The drivers had become part of something larger than themselves, a mission that mattered. In letters home, they described not glory, but purpose. "We're feeding the army that's winning the war," one wrote. When the operation ended in November 1944, more than 400,000 tons of supplies had been delivered. It had shortened the war in Europe by an estimated 6 months. When victory came, the drivers of the Red Ball Express returned home quietly. Their units were dissolved before the war's end, their contributions largely overlooked for decades. Segregation meant few medals, few honors, and little acknowledgement, but their legacy endured. Military historians later called the Express one of the greatest logistical operations in history. Its efficiency became a model for modern military supply systems, and a testament to the soldiers who proved that discipline and determination could overcome prejudice and exhaustion alike. Part 10 The Lesson of the Road. The Red Ball Express taught the world that wars are not won by firepower alone, but by the power to sustain it. Logistics, not heroics, decided the outcome in France. It forced even the most skeptical German generals to admit they had underestimated America. Not just its weapons, but its ability to organize, innovate, and deliver. The drivers, mechanics, and dispatchers of the Express didn't fight with rifles or tanks. They fought with engines, tires, and willpower. And through them, the United States proved that victory belonged to the side that could keep moving, no matter how long the road. "We were just drivers," one veteran said years later, "but we kept the war going. That's how we won."